You're listening to Media Mornings on Vancouver Cooperative Radio, CFRO 100.5 FM. Going to go now to just a bit of audio from April 2nd's massive demonstration in Montreal. So the massive demonstration in Montreal on April 2nd was the first that many people in English Canada may have heard of the anti-austerity mobilization that was taking place in Quebec. To discuss what's going on, we have Université de Québec en Montréal student activist Marianne Breton Fontaine. Longtime Media Mornings listeners may remember Marianne as a regular contributor during the 2012 student protests. Good morning, Marianne.
Good morning.
It's great to have you on our show.
Thank you very much to invite me again.
Yeah. So there has been very little coverage of these demonstrations in the mainstream media in the rest of Canada outside Quebec. So what happened in Montreal that has spurred these demonstrations?
Well, since a year now, we have a new Liberal government elected, and they continue basically the Charest government policies that were fight against in 2012. They have, and even it's worse now because they have cut further in education, in healthcare. They have increased the fees for daycare for kids. They cut everywhere in all programs, and right now people don't know what will be the future of Quebec. So we're fighting for an alternative.
So, who are the forces that have been organizing these demonstrations?
Well, right now it's mainly the students that are in the street. They have launched a general strike in certain area. Some other student unions have a 2-week strike. So the strategy is not clear from everybody where to go with that. But we also have with the student some unions, especially teachers unions in the streets that have called for strike or on strike right now. And also a lot of community organization and feminist group. For example, yesterday there was a night demo only of women organized by feminist groups. So the everywhere from all the communities. The big question is, though, will the more largely the labor union will join later this summer or maybe in the fall, because in the public sector right now, not only in general all public services are attacked, but the work condition of the workers too. And right now the government is asking again for freeze on salaries and lower the condition of the workers. So there is an interest to join all the peoples, all the public and the workers together to go into something bigger than what is happening right now is mainly focused around education.
Yeah. In terms of labor, there's a common front that's made up of the public sector trade unions, and you talk a little bit about that organizing that's going on there.
Well, this public front in 2010, there was a common front that was organized similar to this, and we had at that point in 2010 about 45,000 people in the street, workers, basically demanding Charest to have better work conditions. But at this point, before the student strike was organizing, the government bargained something that was not any win for the workers, but in the same time, it satisfied the government. It satisfies the workers because the demand of the government to lower the condition was not achieved. So there was a status quo bargain, basically. Now we are at a new negotiation coming up. And for example, in the health sector, there is more privatization, so there is a loss of employees, but also there is a general reorganization of all the health sector. And there is also the question of pension for a lot of workers, that their pension is threatened by the actual measure. So everybody from different unions have decided to come back in coalition again, and they have a series of demands. But right now they are negotiation, and what we know is that there is not really a right to strike in Quebec, or actually in all Canada. Workers cannot do poll-call strike. They can only strike under specific collective bargain agreement. So that means there's a limitation, and the window for those workers to go and strike is in the fall. But we hear a lot of anger from all different unions, all in the public sector, and this time, teachers, for example, they stretch the maximum of their energy. They cannot do more. They cannot welcome more students in their class. They cannot lower the resources. There is basically right now everything is stretched at the maximum. So this is the end of the Quebec model for the public sector, or we need to win back what we lost so much in the last 10 years, basically.
And in terms of the students, I understand that they started going out in these demonstrations back in late March, but they've been very regular demonstrations. Is that correct?
Oh yes, absolutely. There is actions that are happening since the election of the government, even under Marois, for example, because when Marois was elected...
That's from the premier that was the PQ premier?
Yeah, exactly, the Parti Québécois, just after the 2012 strike. This government didn't last very long. It was the shorter government in the history of Quebec. But it was a minority government, and it was elected on the promise to basically shift the policies of Quebec towards a more left consensus. So not cutting in public sector, for example, stopping the increase of student fees and similar measure. But Pauline Marois and the PQ very fast created treason by forgetting all their promises from the election and restarting back towards a neoliberal policies like the previous government shared. So already under Marois, students and community organizations and unions restart to do demonstrations. Now, when the Liberals were elected, and this time on the split of the, you will remember probably the Charter of Value. Yes. It was a racist charter, so this Liberal government was again elected to stop this charter for a lot of people. But it was elected on the question of austerity or anything. But this was their agenda, and this is what they are implementing. So basically, to be honest, since 2012, mobilization never stopped. It reduced significantly, but people were still thinking we didn't really win what was demanded in 2012. Government that are elected continue to implement neoliberal policies. So regularly, different actions are happening from different coalitions, different groups. Discussions were going on. And in last October, or October, September, a group called Spring 2015 started to emerge and demanding that we have a similar mobilization that in 2012, so a general unlimited strike from the students right in the fall, so right now. And there was, and so from that idea, more and more the mobilization intensified since March, but never it stopped. Never there was a week without one action, for example.
So, what's been the role of police at these demonstrations? Have there, I remember in the past that that was a major issue. Is that currently an issue as well?
Absolutely. What we saw in 2012 is further the movement, got stronger. More the repression was felt by very peaceful demonstration, and right now in between 2012 and 2015. So now what we saw is on campus general. More aggressive attacks on the students. For example, the inclusion of more cameras on campus, the more funding into security on different establishments. Also, more hiring of police and funding into police and arm for the state repression. So when we get now to the demonstration right from the start, that wasn't the case in 2012. In 2012, the movement had the time to grow, and then when it was too much, we really felt the repression. Even there's always police repression in every demo, but let's say that there was a climax that was taken in 2012. Right now, right from the get-go, the repression is very heavy. For example, right now on campus, and we need to combine the police repression to what is done on campus and other establishments where people are protesting. Because right on the workplace and also on the campus, there is expulsion, there is fire. People are fired from their work for action. We can think about, for example, the workers taking la mairie, where there is municipal leaders, le maire. They taking the place, and they did demonstration and occupation there, and a lot of those firemen were fired from their job and lost everything. And students also fired right now from campus.
Yeah, I understand that there was 9 student leaders at your school, UQAM, that have been expelled.
They're not expelled, yes, because there's a lot of mobilization to stop this, but this is what the UQAM is trying to do. And on the police side, for example, yesterday there was this woman demonstration, and there is arrest, there is a lot of aggressivity. We already have young people losing teeth or have like heavy wounds on them because of police brutality. So this is very frightening for everybody.
I read somewhere though that a commentator who felt that the police repression, rather than scaring people away this time, is actually increasing the level of support and mobilization. I imagine there's a bit of both, but what are your thoughts on that?
I think there is 2 effects. It's true that the first thing is that people get more angry, and it radicalizes some people to do different action, stopping to think that this discussion we have in Quebec is not just a discussion, that there was a class content to it, that there is really a repression existing. That convinced people of the existence of this repression. But on the question of mobilizing people into the street, I'm not so sure. For example, myself as a mother, now can I really bring my kids to demonstration with me? That's really frightening. And in the media, there is a lot of, I would say, a propaganda against protesters and young people that is encouraging police brutality and excusing it. So I see more a clash developing between different clans, like a large division into Quebec, more than something that will succeed to make anger a larger part of the population.
Okay. I imagine that there's differences of opinion about where to go from here. Is it possible to just keep building these mobilizations? Does there need to be some time to step back, let students finish their courses, build for the fall when the unions could maybe go out as well? Are there differences of opinion about that and what to do next?
Well, there is, like you see, a lot of group involved. There is the workers, there is the student, there is community organization, and all have different concerns and demands. So the question is how to get that together, and what organization in society is going to have the leadership of that demonstration. For example, how to put an end to a general strike. Is it the same demand that will put a hand to a strike from the workers than for the students? It's not really the case. But so people are asking, some people demand that we need to have what we call a political strike. So that means to change in general the direction of Quebec. Now the question is where and when to do this strike. There is a student strike starting right now, but is the student strike going to succeed to hold up to when the workers are going from the Common Front are going to go and strike and fall? That's a big question. That's a lot to demand for the students. So some people are saying, well, we want to join the workers, but we need to wait that they start to get their own strike and fall and join them. Some people are saying, wait a minute, if you do that, we have no guarantee that the workers also want the political strike because of the law. For them, it's asking a lot. for some unions, it could mean the destruction of the union. So it's a big engagement, and not the leadership of unions didn't take that engagement yet. So if we wait, we're taking the risk actually to just have a strike on the specific collective agreement, but not on general the austerity and the cuts everywhere and the larger picture. Mm-hmm. So the question is, do we wait there? So that means we give the leadership also to workers' union. Do we continue for now but take the risk that we don't succeed to join the work here later? How do we articulate the demands of community organization and all this? There is a lot of debate right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I imagine that it's not completely resolved, is there?
Oh, absolutely. Not just last weekend. We have the AC, the Association pour une solidarité syndicale étudiante, that have its convention. This was the main group in the 2012 student strike. They have the convention, and the executive just got destitute, had to resign in a block, and a new executive was elected because there was, in the heat of that debate on the strategy, this happened. And the strategy for now that ASTE is taking is to hold up the strike and to follow basically this group that is called Spring 2015. Mm-hmm. But the discussions are not finished. They are very alive right now.
Okay, and as we finish up here, just you personally, you're a law student now. What has been the response of your classmates? It's an expensive program, law, and for students that don't come from wealthy backgrounds like yourself, you've got tuition fees that you've paid. So, what are the kinds of thoughts that are in your program, your classmates?
That's a big question, but fortunately in Quebec, because of past struggle, I don't pay more than when I was in sociology. So that's making law accessible to not too wealthy students. But it's true that in general in law, because of family background, a lot of students are from more wealthy background, and often they don't really understand the concern in that context of a student like me when I know that I will get out of school with the $80,000 debt. And I'm having a kid, I'm demanding, how is it possible that my kids don't get support at school and I'm not going to be rich? I won't be able to pay for what they are demanding, for example, for health care. So that's making no sense for me. That's touching me very, very much and very easily. In law, there's a lot. In law student, there is so a fracture into the understanding of this daily. Mm-hmm. Some students think that that actually we can convince with just debate. We don't need mobilization. We need to elect a new group. That's an utopic way to see politics. Sometimes students also have this utopia. Mm-hmm. But in general, the mass majority of students are very concerned with austerity, even if they are from a wealthy background, because everybody knows somebody that's going to be affected by all of this. People that are going to lose their job or not having access anymore to services, old people that lose their pension. So majority of people are concerned. The big question is the strategy. And so in law, unfortunately, the people that are against this strategy of the strike, they use what we call injunction to block the possibility on campus to do activism. And it's been attacked, used not only in for law students but all across campus. And this is what we call the judiciarization of the conflict. So that's not helping a political debate. Unfortunately, that's stopping it and making things with more tension.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much. We should probably wrap up here, and I know that that you have to go. So thanks so much for your time, and maybe we'll be able to talk again soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. That was Marianne Breton Fontaine, a Quebec student activist and reporter for Jeunesse, Militant, and a former regular contributor to Media Mornings. And who knows, maybe her schedule will be such that we can bring her back as a regular contributor.